What's going on, guys, and welcome back to our last preseason BFR. This was preseason Game 6 for Chicago. It was against the Minnesota Wild at home. It was yesterday, which was October 9th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Chicago came out, played their best game of the preseason without question that I've watched. I mean, they did win that one against St. Louis like 5-1, which wasn't televised, but I didn't watch that because it wasn't televised. But this was their best performance by far. Chicago had outshot Minnesota 37-26, and they were 2 for 4 on the power play, and Minnesota was 0 for 2. Phenomenal. Their lines were as followed. You had on the first line DeBrincat, Tyler Johnson, and Kane. On the second line, you had Kubalik, Taves, and Kurashev. On the third line, you had Borgstrom, Doc, and Strome. On the fourth line, you had Kara, Entwistle, and Carpenter. So these are pretty similar to the lines I think they're going to use in Game 1 against Colorado on Wednesday. But you see there's some notable names that didn't play. You had Entwistle is getting another try. Borgstrom, they're trying to crack the lineup. Hagel will definitely be in the starting lineup, so he'll be in there, so that'll take one spot away. And you could assume that others that are going to be in this lineup that aren't, it just didn't play tonight. On the defense, you had the first pair was McCabe and Murphy. On the second, you had DeHaan and Seth Jones. On the third line, you had Stillman and Mitchell. Kalnick and Caleb Jones are injured, so they won't be able to play for about a month. So we'll see how that goes. And net for the Hawks was Fleury, who saved 25 out of 26. Kakinen saved, 32 out of 37. And I will say, Kakinen probably got a lot of flack for last night. If Kakinen didn't play like the way he did, it could have been a lot worse. Chicago flat out dominated this game from about almost halfway to the end of the first period to the third period. It was all Chicago. However, to start the game, it did not look like that. At 17-17 of the first period, there was a goal early by Minnesota. It was Ryan Hartman from Jared Spurgeon to make it 1-0. That was as good as Minnesota got that night. As right after there was a point blank save by Fleury. Fleury was tested early. Kakinen saves a DeBrincat breakaway. But at 7:02, there's a goal from Chicago. It's Henrik Borgstrom from Strome and Jones to make it 1-1. Fleury then saved a 2-0, which was followed by a scrum. Then 4:46, there was a goal for Chicago. It was Alex DeBrincat from Kane and Jones, 2-1. It was a missed one-timer, and then DeBrincat finished it on the rebound. And then Chicago had all the momentum I wrote down. They were dominating the next shift. They missed it. They also missed an open net, but it could have made it 3-1. But going into the second period, Chicago was in full control, and they did not let their foot off the gas pedal at all that night. Second period, Chicago came flying out of the gate. Borgstrom and Strome almost connected. Borgstrom fanned. And then at 17-14 was the first penalty of the game. There was no penalties in the first period. There was Minnesota. It was to DeHaan for cross-checking. It looked awful. That was the worst power play I think I've seen that entire preseason. It was horrible. And then Carpenter and Jones were using the body. I liked the way they were playing tonight. Then there was a large scrum where Zuccarello was throwing hands on DeHaan, ripped his helmet off. So at 13:37, which was when it happened, there was a penalty to DeHaan for roughing, which is retaliating. Zuccarello got a double minor for roughing, but only two, since DeHaan and Zuccarello, each of their penalties offset, so Zuccarello only got 2 minutes. Kaprizov served the minor. And then at 12:06, there was a penalty on Seth Jones for slashing, which could have been a penalty shot. It was on a breakaway, but they decided to make it 4-on-4 with Kaprizov in the box. So I'm not sure what Minnesota was thinking, putting their best player in the box to serve a penalty in case it went 4-on-4. The announcers were definitely questioning that as well. So it was 4-on-4 for 25 seconds, and then it was a minute and a half power play for Minnesota. Everything there was killed. But at 11:26, there was a shorthanded goal from Ryan Carpenter. From Stillman and Kurashev to make it 3-1. It was a one-timer, phenomenal shot by Carpenter, snuck by Kakinen. And then on that same penalty kill, Spurgeon saved a Doc shorthanded chance. Kakinen was down. If Spurgeon wasn't there, it would have been 4-1 and 2 shorthanded goals on the same on the same penalty kill. Then Borgstrom had a chance that was saved. Kara had a huge open ice hit. The guy went flying, and it was surprised it wasn't a penalty in today's game. 4:26, there was a penalty to Minnesota's Hartman for holding. And then at 3:33, it was a power play goal from Jonathan Tays from Kane and DeBrincat to make it 4-1. And DeBrincat had hit the post. It went off Tays' chest and in. Doc had a chance that was saved. And then there was a weird sequence after the goal at 1:32. It was a penalty to Chicago on Marc-Andre Fleury for delay of game. What happened was the puck was being dumped. Fleury was racing with another Minnesota guy to try to dump the puck out. Fleury got a piece of it, so it went around the Chicago side of the board. So Fleury had to get back in his net, so he went flying back into the net and knocked it off the post. Complete accident. The fact that he was able to move like that at his age, at 36, almost 37, was impressive. It was definitely a weird sequence of events. But he got the penalty for it. It was killed. Doc was boarded on that penalty kill, however. It was a 2-on-1. They turned the other way. Doc was boarded. There was no call. And I couldn't believe that there was no call. It happened not only once this game, I wrote it down, it happened twice at that point. Because I had seen it earlier, and I just didn't write it down, because I'm like, okay, I missed call, whatever, I'm not going to... But when it happens twice, and it's a clear board, and Doc's life... I wouldn't say life. His body was indeed injured. It had a possibility of being injured, and he was lucky to get up after it. Then we go to the third period. Kurashev and Tays had a 2-on-1 broken up. Fleury saved a Fiala breakaway. Kara and Carpenter had a 2-on-1 that was also saved. There was a close chance. There was a few whacks. The puck was in front of the Minnesota net. Tyler Johnson was whacking at it. Seth Jones was whacking at it, and then it went off Dumba. It almost started crawling into the net, but Kokkonen saved it. Then at 15:06, there's a penalty to Minnesota. It was Ben for holding. Jordy Ben, that is. It should have been a 5-on-3. However, they didn't call. That was the second boarding call. That was another one that was like, okay, refs, come on, you got to do something here. But at 13:42 on that penalty kill, it's a power play goal on that power play, I should say. And it was a power play goal from Jonathan Tays, his second of the night, from DeBrincat and Jones. DeBrincat had, I think, 2 assists. Jones had 3 assists. If Jones has 3 points, 3 assists every game of the season, worth the $9.5 million, definitely. I doubt he'll do it, but if he does play like that, I'll pay every cent of that $9.5 mil. And that power play was looking amazing. They had complete control. They were passing everywhere, getting good chances, and then finally Tays was able to get it in. And then there was a fight between Stillman and Duhaime, who was defending a teammate that the announcers questioned whether it was a penalty. I didn't think it was, but what can you do? Then there was a 2-on-1 for 2-on-1 for Minnesota. It failed. They missed the net. There was a scrum after that. Then Chicago dominates from. I wrote down that this was pretty much the end of the game. Chicago had dominated from end of the first for the rest of the game. Minnesota just never showed up after that first goal. The Hawks played a defensive game that led to offensive chances, and Minnesota had missed the net a bunch as well, so that kind of contributed to it. Overall, complete effort. I circled 6 names last night because there were 6 guys that just stood out to me. DeBrincat was playing well. Borgstrom was getting a lot of chances. There is a good chance he may be in the lineup against Colorado on Wednesday. Strome was playing really well. He was creating chances, mostly with Borgstrom. Carpenter was playing defensively and also had an offensive kick to him today. Fleury was playing phenomenal the first period. Fleury in the first and third, he didn't really get tested at all in the second, was phenomenal. Minnesota at the 10-minute mark was leading 10-1 in shots. And then Chicago was able to come back, and Minnesota only had 16 shots the next 2 periods. Not even the next 2 periods, I'd say. Maybe 10 shots the next 2 periods. I had Jones circled because he had 3 assists, and he was also throwing the body as well. He was playing... Jones is not known as a defensive defenseman. He's an offensive defenseman. But however, he was playing defensively pretty well tonight. And if Jones plays like the way he did tonight, I'd say he's worth every cent of that $9.5 million. But yeah, that's really all I have for you guys today. Season starts on Wednesday. Games start on Tuesday. Tuesday on ESPN, it's going to be the first game is going to be Pittsburgh and Tampa, and then later on that night it'll be Vegas and Seattle to kick off the season. The Hawks play in Colorado on the 13th. I'll be doing that the first regular season BFR, and that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.